Welcome to another episode of Rugby League Down South. On the programme, Medway Dragons appoint former London Broncos coach Rob Powell as their new head coach as they set a 5-year plan to be a semi-professional club. We'll reflect on the Broncos' defeat to Warrington, the championship try scorer of the week, HEMEL Stags James Hill, on their comeback at Oldham, the man of the match at the Rugby League Varsity game, and Neil Wood, a consultant helping out London Broncos off the field. Well, some interesting news to start with on Rugby League Down South about the Medway Dragons. Something's been brewing for a few weeks, and that something is the former London Broncos head coach Rob Powell has been appointed as their first team head coach as the club launch a 5-year plan to be a semi-professional outfit. Once again, Martin Coyd on the show, this time as the Medway Dragons driving force. I think his official title is Director of Rugby League at the Medway Dragons, but one likes to be referred to as the driving force behind Medway Dragons. And again, apologies for the sound, the call waiting noises and the technical sounds in this recording, which I rectified as soon as I could. But here is Martin Coyd with the exciting news about Medway Dragons' future. For the last couple of weeks, we've been saying that there's potentially something around the corner for Medway Dragons. You have news, do you?
Yep. We're delighted that we've come to an agreement with Rob Powell, who's going to be head coach of our men's team.
The former Broncos coach?
That's correct, yeah.
You mentioned last week about having plans for the future and ambition and places you wanted to go. You talked about having the right people in there. I guess this is what you were referring to. Why is Rob the right person for you?
I think Rob Powell's an exceptional coach. He's had a long journey through university and worked that way, and then excellent things at South London, and took South London Storm to a Harry Jepson Trophy. Brian McDermott identified his potential and brought him into the Broncos, and I was there at the time and used to watch Rob and learn loads and just see how capable he was as a technical coach, but also his skills with people, his ability to get the best out of them, and he was hugely respected wherever he went. And it's just great we've got the opportunity, and having had some conversations and meetings with Rob, I was able to share the vision and the dream, if you like, for Medway Dragons.
I can see the headlines now. Sort of former Super League coach, now coach at Medway Dragons. He had a very meteoric rise, didn't he, up to the Super League level. It was tough going, as it's been for many a coach in recent years at Broncos. But he continued to coach, hasn't he? And what will this be in sort of what capacity will he coach with you? Because obviously you're still a community club.
Yeah, that's correct. Rob's primary role will be head coach of the men's team. We've played men's rugby league for 3 years. It's or open age, as it's often called, and we've been mainly filling that team with people who've come through our junior system, which of course is really important. But you never know till you've been there, and we need to have a step change here, a significant alteration to what we do if we're going to move up. And our intention is to become a semi-professional club and playing in Championship 1, and who knows where from then. In 5 years, we want to grow that by getting somebody like Robin, make sure the good stuff we've already done at the Dragons. We've built a platform for 7 years now. We have a really strong foundation. We have a good culture at the club, and we've got a really good pipeline. I'm really pleased with that. So whatever we can create at first team level, we can continue to feed from the bottom, recruit quality players, and one of the things, as well as talking to Rob and outlining what it could look like, we've done some really strong recruiting in the off-field team with regards to our physio and medical support, strength and conditioning, the all-important kit men and media people, and those people who do the unseen work, which will allow Rob and his assistants to focus on the football side of things.
I don't think anyone could ever question how well organised you are at the Medway Dragons, Martin, with the things that you've done. You've always been sensible in your growth and sort of how you've taken things forward. It's a big plan, that, isn't it? Championship 1 or a semi-professional outfit within 5 years. Is that a sensible target for the club?
I think so. we were part of something called the Quiet Revolution, or part of the discussions around the Quiet Revolution, which saw HEMEL, Oxford, Gloucester take that step up. So I'm aware of the process and had some discussions and negotiations with several people, including the RFL, about whether Medway Dragons could fit. And we took a very clear decision. We were really comfortable with it, that we weren't ready. My primary concern was damaging the junior structure of the club by focusing on something else. And that still stands there. Even if we did have a significant benefactor now, we're not ready. So this has to be a build over the period of time to allow us to continue to grow, continue to reinforce those all-important structural things and get people comfortable, get people competent so we can learn. And when we're ready, we can make the best possible fist of a go in Championship Rugby League.
And you mentioned as well, the potential of having a benefactor in the future. There's obviously a lot of things that would need to be sorted in the next 5 years. I'm thinking, playing ground and stuff like that. Have you already started working on looking at things like that?
Yeah, we have a fantastic relationship with our landlords at the Royal School of Military Engineering and also Medway Council, who are hugely supportive of Rugby League. And the consequence of that, phrases considered, we have world-class training facilities on our doorstep across the road with regards to gymnasiums, judo dojos, sports science departments from Greenwich University and the University of Kent, and everything a Super League club could possibly want is there, accessible and ready now, and crucially these partners are in place. So we need to take advantage of that. We need to stop admiring it from a distance, saying if only we're just going to do it. And I'm confident that having a coach the quality of Rob in our team will attract players who again will see the potential and the opportunity with the Dragons and want to be part of that journey. Help us to grow. So guys who are in our under 17s team now, some of them will be 22, which is about the maturation age of a rugby league player. That's when you start to be considered to be ready to rock at the highest level. So we've got that growth period. We're looking for a strong 2014 season. And we just, again, put the right things in place. We know where we are, and we continue to grow. And there is now, of course, a pyramid and a pathway in Rugby League to go between the tiers. We'll set ourselves some sensible, achievable targets and work hard to achieve them in the coming years.
And sorry to be so blunt with a question, but it's probably something that many people think, but where does the money come from, or where will the money come from for it?
The money won't come from one place. We are financially sound as a club. We've never spent any time in debt. That's a great thing I've learned from observing the scholars who put themselves in the same place. They don't allow that. We have some people who are indicating they're prepared to support and investors, and we've also got some work to do. We couldn't join Championship 1 now. We don't have that level of investment ready to go. But again, part of bringing in somebody like Rob means that we can potentially attract people, because they'll say, yeah, these people mean business, these people are serious, and I'm prepared to support that venture.
And this is all very exciting, isn't it? This is a big step forward.
It is a big step forward, but it's considered. I spent quite a long time talking with Mark Evans, who's the current chief executive of Melbourne Storm, and he was at Harlequins. And I sat down with Mark and a couple of cups of tea, if you like, and he was explaining to me that there's a lot of work around sports demographics and how strong the potential for professional sport in North Kent is. Especially in summer, outside of Gillingham Football Club, there's a huge population who are hungry for sports, who don't have that much to do with regards to summer. Kent County Cricket Ground's a fair way away, and there's a quarter of a million people in the Medway towns, and even more if you go in a radius of 10 miles. With big conurbations like Maidstone and Sittingbourne, Gravesend, Dartford. We want to step into that market. I'm under no illusions there's going to be an awful lot of hard work, but I'm really confident that the people who are associated with the Dragons, we've got the right people in place, and we need to grow, we know that. But we're ready.
And obviously you mentioned, those people and the news that you said, Rob Powell now going to be the coach of your men's team. What has he said about the future and how excited he is to be back with, a rugby league side, one of his passions, and back with a team that he can hopefully take further on, I guess, over the next few years?
That was certainly attraction for Rob. All of us involved in rugby league are passionate about the game almost for the sake of the game. And I have no doubt that Rob will have a very strong influence on all of our coaches coming through with regards to our culture, how we play, as well as some technical stuff. But we continue on the mission to do the very best we can with regards to being good people. Again, giving our players and our volunteers the opportunity to excel and be the best they can all the time. Rob's primary role is the first team, but I don't doubt that there'll be a real strong influence, and stuff will cascade and filter down into our junior teams. We'll just get better across the board.
Martin Coyd, OBE, got the title in the New Year's Honours list, didn't he? The driving force at Medway Dragons, with the exciting news that Rob Powell, the former London Broncos coach, has been appointed as their head coach for this season and beyond as it stands. A good man is Martin, with big plans, certainly one to watch and one club to watch over the next few years. Martin also mentioned off the air that John Stanforth, their chairman, doing exceptional work, and they begin training in 2 weeks. They got 6 weeks of pre-season, and John making sure that everything is in place, the right things are in place, and that the club is going in the right direction. Martin, very much the voice of what's happening, but John doing a lot of work behind the scenes as well as many others, I should say. Plenty of people at the moment contributing to the forward movement of Medway Dragons, and I think you might see some acceleration towards the end of this year and into 2015 in particular, as they definitely start to ramp things up. And just a bit of your reaction from Twitter. Ian said, so pleased for Rob, whatever your opinions on him, he had a real deal, a raw deal even, at the Broncos. London Broncos loyal saying fantastic news. Eddie saying, we've seen what Hemel, Scholars and Oxford have done in terms of Medway. There's a fantastic fan base here in Kent. Broncos missed an opportunity, although I'm relieved Gillingham deal never went through, says Eddie. Would have a massive impact on the Medway Dragons, not at all positive. Smudge says, great news for all concerned about Rob Powell. Wish you every success. Nigel saying, great move. Yorkshire Red Devil getting involved as well, saying top fella. Andy Wilson of The Guardian saying fantastic. Was only saying to someone the other day that Rob was a bad loss to the game. And Danny on Twitter at Ian Ramsdale said, very pleased all round. Can't it be a 5-minute plan? Hashtag no patience. No, a 5-year plan for the Medway Dragons and their future, but they're very, very much building for that future. Now, of course, you can download Rugby League Down South from the totalrl.com website. I was looking around the site the other day, actually. They have the Super League highlights as well on their pages. So if you ever want to click around, you can find it on the various clubs links. That's where I found it in particular. But also on the Broncos clubs links, there's video interviews with Ben Farrer and Josh Drinkwater. When I was down at the training ground last week recording interviews for this programme, there was a reporter down there from the League Express who did video interviews with them. They're on totalrl.com. So a couple of different news lines as to what I spoke to the lads about. But if you'd like to see the video format of an interview with them, then totalrl.com is the place to head. So on to the Broncos then, and the match report on the website totalrl.com said London fought with great bravery and determination to lead at half-time against all odds, but lacked the depth and discipline of Warrington and lost 16-44. The Broncos might just have proved that they have enough quality to stay up. And that's thoughts that were online. The man at the game for the League Express was David Clarke, who I caught up with a little earlier.
The first half, London Broncos were brilliant. They were confident in their approach in the game and showed quite a bit of flair as well. And considering Josh Drinkwater, obviously came out of the starting lineup just before the game started with an injury, Mike Boucher stepped in really well and provided some great skill and great guidance for his team. But yeah, come the second half, it was a completely different team. Warrington stepped up, took the game by the scruff of the neck, and London just didn't really have any answers in the second half. But particularly with the ball in hand, I mean, I know they conceded 30 points, but with ball in hand, Warrington were just always on them every single second, and they just couldn't really do much about it.
And I've seen the highlights of the game, and it looks like there was a couple of tries at the end, a bit of tiredness and a bit of loose passes, which Warrington were the beneficiaries of. But in terms of Broncos, I guess, do you see the style of rugby that they're looking to play and what they want to do? They're obviously not there yet because they've only had a new few bodies and they're quite young. But you do get the impression of them not wanting to hold back.
Yeah, absolutely. It was definitely a kind of attacking approach, especially early on. When they're in the right positions on the field, it looks brilliant. So they got a lot of help. Warrington made a few errors, a few penalties went London's way early on, so they're in good position. When they're in good position, it looks really nice, looks really skillful, and Ben Farrer out the back, linking up really well with Bichet. But when they're not in the right positions, because their forward pack at the moment is quite the forward pack at the moment is quite
thin,
slim, and it's not a very beefy pack at the moment. So getting into the right areas is the problem at the moment. But when they get in those areas, they look great attacking wise. But in the second half, field position wise, they just didn't have any.
It looks like they're still short of a bit of brawn, as you say, up front, and they need to shore up the defence somewhat as well in certain areas. Would you say that's their main causes for concern at the moment?
Yeah, I mean, the defensive areas, I suppose, when you have that much pressure on your line, any team's going to concede points. I mean, the defensive areas in the second half were just a byproduct of the way Warrington approached the game in defence. They were just intense. Tony Ray talked about it after the game and said about, we asked what happened in the second half, and he said Warrington happened. It was as simple as that. They just stepped it up, and London just couldn't quite get to grips with the intense nature of the game, and then it shouldn't be expected to at this stage of the season, really. With the lack of gelling amongst players at the moment, it's very early for London. But that first half, you can really build on that, I think, as the season goes on.
I mean, considering that, though, it shows that the better teams in the division, on their day when they want to, can turn it on. And Broncos, will be on the receiving end of that. Looking at a game this weekend against Wakefield, how crucial do you think that's going to be? They'll have faced Salford, they'll have faced Bradford, they'll have faced Wakefield, all in these early few games of the season, and they could be staring, potentially 0 points and a couple of tougher fixtures ahead.
Yeah, I mean, the game against Wakefield, I know Wakefield obviously had a really good result against Catalan, but I think a team like Wakefield for London on Saturdays would be a really good chance to kind of see where they are, really, in and amongst those teams at the bottom of the league at the moment. Tony Ray mentioned that they thought about it at half time, and he thought maybe some of the boys were thinking about, the scoreboard and what a win against Warrington would mean. I think if they're in a similar position at half time this week against Wakefield, I think they'll be a bit more concerned about the game itself and a bit more controlled and a bit less thinking about what could happen, and rather what will happen. And I think they're ready for the game against Wakefield. I think as long as they go with what they did in the first half and not what they did in the second half, then they should be fine, and it should be a close game.
And I'm talking to you from your just outside your offices down in Soho. Great to have another rugby league journalist in London. I know it was your first game working on a Broncos game at the weekend, so that's good. I'm sure we'll get you on the podcast plenty more in the future. But what do you make of the Broncos and Barnett's situation and the tie-up at the moment from what you've seen?
Well, I tweeted just before the game, actually. It was an absolutely beautiful day. Obviously, there weren't a lot of fans there, granted, but the sun was out, the music was on the tannoy, it was absolutely fantastic, and the fans really got behind them in the first half. There's a couple of really, really passionate fans really voicing their opinions in a very good way. But in terms of the Barnett, I mean, it seemed to work well for me. I'm not, obviously don't know too much about the other areas that they used to play in, but it seems to work well, transport in and out and things like that. Obviously, if they win games, the attendances will go up. It's quite simple, but if you can try and engage with the community in and around the area where the stadium is, then hopefully we'll see some benefits as we go along in the season.
And the report online on totalrl.com said that Broncos have shown potentially that they have something within them to maybe not finish bottom or maybe not be relegated. A bit of spark there. I mean, did you see that? Do you see a potential there that they could? They were written off before the start of the season. Is there some hope?
Oh, there's definitely potential. Definitely potential. I think I was quite impressed with the togetherness. I mean, they went down obviously early on. Warrington got the first try of the game, and the heads didn't go down. One particular player as well who stood out for me, who has been notorious for not maybe giving 100% every game, and that's Scott Moore. He was on it from start to finish of the game. I was really impressed with him. So he had leadership skills there. They just need a bit more, as we said before in the podcast, a bit more brawn up front. But maybe that's some of the younger forwards coming through the ranks and really proving themselves, hopefully.
It's noisy. Is that a big dust cart or something?
What was that?
Was that a big dust cart?
That was a motorbike.
That was motorbike. Fair enough.
But, with some of the younger forwards hopefully coming through, and hopefully they'll get a bit more go forward as we go along in the season.
Just a couple of news lines to bring you as well. Tony Guijo, who was signed by Broncos for 2014, played in France in the domestic division over in France at the weekend. Played against Salford for Broncos at the Hive, then played for Scholars the following week, and now playing in France. I inquired about his situation at the moment. Was told nothing's decided or nothing's finalised at the moment, but potentially his future uncertain with London Broncos. I didn't think he went too bad against Salford, although the reports of him playing for Scholars were that it wasn't great, so to speak. But I'm sure there's more to come about the future of Tony Guijo, who I don't know, may no longer be part of Broncos' plans for 2014. Also, I had my column dropped for the Wakefield Matchday programme for Broncos this weekend, which I'm always happy to write stuff whenever it's needed. But the reason was because they need 4 pages for Barnet community things. For me, that was a good sign. More than happy to make way for that. And it'll link in with something we talk about a little later on about wanting to get more people into the Hive. And I posed a Facebook discussion on the Facebook page for Rugby League Down South saying what's the best way that Barnet and Broncos should go about getting more people in. We'll go through a few of your contributions a little later. But yes, I mean it's a good sign, isn't it? If they need 4 pages for community things in a match day programme this weekend. I was also told that Buck and Dusty have their own page as well. I've seen them being more active. They're on Twitter as well, Buck and Dusty, if you want to see what they're up to on a day-to-day basis. But as I said, your discussion topics and your suggestions about Broncos a little later on. And now still to come, reaction from the Rugby League Varsity game, which was held at the HAC in London. And Neil Wood, the man with many RFL years on his CV, who's spending time helping Broncos at the moment as a consultant. We'll hear from him later on in the programme. But let's dive into Championship 1, and HEMEL coach Troy Perkins posted on Facebook on Sunday. Great result by the Stags. Ended up snatching a draw after being 16-0 down at half-time. Had a kick from the sideline to win it at the end, but missed. Proud of the lads, especially the second half. So a 20-all draw away at Oxford. 16-0 down at half-time. At Oldham. At 16-0 down at half-time. Drawing 20-all at Oldham, one of the traditional clubs in Championship 1. Now, one of the more traditional, what am I trying to say? One of the longer running clubs in Championship 1. But the man who scored the equalising try was James Hill. His try was voted as the Championship's try of the week. Equalised things to 20-all, as we mentioned. So, try of the week. The scorer of the try of the week, playing for HEMEL. I just had to give him a call. James, well, let's start with the game Sunday. Sounds like a cracker, really. What a great comeback from HEMEL.
Yeah, it was. It was a good spirited performance from the lads. Thought like the first half we found it quite tough, especially, but the second half we had a good chat at half time and came out and just gave it everything we had, and we've got a good spirit down at HEMEL, and I thought it showed through in the comeback.
So we are 16-0 down at half time, is that right?
Yeah, that's correct, yeah.
That must be pretty daunting when you're at Oldham. A big club, and HEMEL, new to this scene really. 16-0 down must be pretty daunting, but you're obviously confident that you could do something in the second 40.
Yeah, it's pretty tough, especially in rugby league. The score can escalate quite quickly. But we had a good chat, like I say, at half time, and we all believed and all knew that we had the talent and the drive to go out and give it to them. I think Oldham's pitch is on a bit of a slope, and the hill and their big pack really dominated us a little bit first half. But when that changed second half, I thought we took the game one more to them, and we settled into our pattern a bit better.
So what was the key second half? You talk about that pattern, but what was it that you did differently?
We cleaned it up. I think the second half we made less errors, especially, and we just cleaned our game up. We started working to more of a structure. We started working to an area of the pitch and really working their forwards hard and trying to make, especially because a lot of them were a lot bigger than us, we started making them work a bit harder, and eventually it took its toll. And I think the back end of the second half we got our joy with our quick players and out wide, especially for myself, and the S side on the other wing.
And you scored the try that equalised things up with right at the death of the game.
Yeah, so it was like the last play of the game, really.
Describe the try for us, because it got you the try of the week, didn't it, in the championship?
Yeah, I got told that last night at training. I was pretty chuffed. I think we knew that we had to do something, and I think that Oldham's decision to run it rather than kick it on last tackle on their previous set, and Alex Ingerfield put a great shot on, and we managed to get the ball back in relatively good position. And then on the back of that, we got someone play the balls, and fortunately it came my way, and Mikey put me into the gap, and I just stuck my head down and got there as fast as I could, and finished it off right in the corner.
Considering the position that the game had been in, when you get to that point, you must have been full of confidence as a team, having drawn it to be so close from being so far behind in a way. To have an opportunity at the end. You must have been. I don't know. Was that the peak of the game, I guess, for your side?
Yeah, definitely. I think when I went into the corner, the celebrations were mad. Everyone was around each other, and you could really see the team spirit. And I think if the game had gone on for another 5 or 10 minutes, I think we'd have definitely won, because we were steaming by that point. We were all really up for it. And
this was 20 points apiece, but there was a kick to come. You talk about being in the corner.
Yeah.
How difficult was that final kick? It was missed, and you ended up in a draw and sharing the points, but can't have been easy with the pressure on that.
Our normal kicker, BJ Swindles, was off the pitch, and so our half-back Benny Young took it on his shoulders, and was all of us lads we tried to stay as quiet as possible. We weren't we were just letting him get on with it in his own preparation and that. But I can imagine he was pretty close to the sideline, and the Oldham fans were giving him a bit of stick. So I think I don't know whether that affected him or not, but it was a great effort, and it was just unfortunate that it just went wide.
Was this a better performance than the week before, though, from Hemel? It seems like a significant improvement when you look at the scoreline. Yeah,
definitely. I think week by week we're slowly improving, and we're slowly starting to get to the sort of level of rugby that we want to play. Especially last week, we saw it in better glimpses, and hopefully in the weeks to come we can really start to gel as a squad and start to play some attractive rugby.
And when you look at Championship 1, people sometimes pinpoint the more established clubs as being the ones to beat, but this has really put you in the mix, and everyone's really in with a shot. We've talked about it numerous times on this programme about how exciting Championship 1 is this year, as it was last year, but it really just looked like that any game could really go either way. I know people say that in most sports, but this is a very, very close league.
Oh yeah, definitely. I think there is a lot of favouritism towards especially the northern teams, and especially this year towards maybe the likes of Hunslet and York, who have come down from the Championship. And especially like myself, I'm a northern lad, and no one really expects the southern teams to be up to much, or even to play much league at all. And since I've come down here, I've just realised that all the lads are really up for it, and there's some really skillful lads around, and we're putting up a great fight this year, as we did last year. And I think this league's probably the tightest league I've ever played in myself, and the competition's really healthy for places within HEMEL, not just like across the league, but just within our squad as well.
And how have you found it at HEMEL? You joined at the back end of last year, but have you settled in well now?
Yeah, settled in really well. All the lads were really welcoming. They've got a good, like I say about this spirit, like they've got such a good team spirit, a good team drive, and the lads are really good to be around. Like they work hard in training, and there's quite a few young lads at the club who are really skillful and still learning the trade really, and it's good to be around that sort of vibe. We're always improving, always looking to be the best, and it really is a feel-good atmosphere.
And whenever I talk to a Championship 1 player, usually I have to ask about their day job. You've just popped into a conference room to have a chat with me during your working day. Where is it you work and what do you do?
I work for a company called HEMEL Systems. We're based in Leighton Buzzard. We're an engineering firm. We specialise in bespoke equipment, like vacuum cleaning systems, railway maintenance equipment, lifting equipment, anything really. We do a lot of sheet metal work as well, a lot of extraction and ventilation systems as well. So it's a really broad range of engineering, but it's a good little company.
So do you have a really swanky job title?
No, just design engineer. nothing too swanky, but yeah, I'm just a design engineer at the time being, and then I've got to finish my degree off, and then hopefully I'll become a project managing engineer somewhere along the line.
So is this part of your degree?
Yeah, it doesn't go towards the academic side of my degree, but it'll help towards being accredited and becoming a chartered engineer. Hopefully, when I finish my degree, a couple more years' experience after that, and I'll become a full chartered engineer.
James Hill of HEMEL Stags there, who was voted, or his equalising try, voted the Championship's Try of the Week. Congratulations to him. Nice bloke, thank you for talking to us. And I didn't mention to James, in fact, that South Wales Scorpions they have in the Cup this weekend. Had a great outing, didn't they, last year in the fourth round away at Wakefield for the HEMEL Stags. So this is the third round game. It's the big boys up next. If you can get through to the fourth round, I'm sure they'll have their eye on something similar as Wakefield last year. So good luck to them at the weekend. James as well mentioned that he'd moved down to the area, not knowing that there was a rugby league club around. Certainly enjoying his time with the Stags at the moment, but always keen to see more people through the gates. He asked me off air if there was any corporate days or events for the wider Southern Rugby League spectrum, anything that brings people together. It made me think that there's nothing really that does bring Southern clubs, Southern teams, Southern people in rugby league together. So I wondered about taking your suggestions for next week's programme about the ideas that you have for potentially bringing a Southern Rugby League or the people within Southern Rugby League together. My suggestion, how about some sort of, and we won't use the word magic for a magic weekend, but a weekend where there are a number of games where you could play a couple of Championship 1 games as well as the Broncos games. If you could find a pitch in which to do it and get a few community games on the outside or 7, 9, just get some teams playing nines on the outdoor pitches, or the touch game or tag or whatever it is, maybe a big sort of festival weekend. It would take some organising, but I think it'd be something, wouldn't it, that you could see a lot of games, a lot of teams. That's my idea. But what do you think? Well, is there something like corporate days, golf days? I don't know. Guest speaker talks, Q&A sessions, fans forums, London Rugby League forums, Southern Rugby League forums, whatever it is. We'll take your discussions. Email rldownsouth@gmail.com. It's probably a bit too short for Twitter, but you can tweet any short ideas to @Ian Ramsdale, or join the discussion on the Facebook page, facebook.com/Rugby League Down South. If you just search Rugby League Down South, it'll bring out the page. But have a look and leave your suggestion. I'll post that later on in the week about what you think could be good for the future of bringing people in Rugby League in the South together. Now to one of the annual fixtures of the London Rugby League calendar, the Rugby League Varsity match. It was a 5th consecutive win for Oxford. They now lead the series 17-16 with just one draw in the previous game so far, the previous series. Before the game, I sat down and recorded a discussion about rugby league in the south with Tony Ray, the head coach of London Broncos, Joe Mabou, the head coach of Scholars, and Nigel Whisker from the Sunday People. You can see a photo of that, in fact, on the Facebook page under the RL Varsity title. But then after the game, after that victory for Oxford, I spoke to the man of the match, Oxford's number 7, Jake Whittaker.
Jake, so how do you feel right now?
Over the moon, absolutely undescribable. I mean, it was a pretty great performance, but the only thing that matters really in a varsity match is the victory. That's pretty much the be-all and end-all of our season, and to come away with a resounding victory, to nail the opposition, yeah, unbelievable.
And this is the climax of your year, isn't it? And as
Exactly,
you say, this is the one you want to win, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, obviously we wouldn't like to, but if we go through a season where we play, we win one game or we don't win a game, but then we come in and put a performance like that, we'd be more than happy. So we've had a pretty good season anyway, so to put that on the icing on the cake, yeah, it's absolutely unbelievable.
And not just a win, a comprehensive win. The scoreboard still reads 40 points to 0.
Yeah, we were. That's one of the main things we talked about, really. We put a few points on last year as well, and we're always pretty confident in our attack. We like to throw the ball about a bit. But yeah, we really talked about it, really hammered it home, especially at half-time, and we had to really dig in the second half to hold them out when they had, I think they had about 4 or 5 repeat sets in our line. So I reckon, yeah, that's probably the most pleasing aspect of the game for all of us, really.
You've got the match ball tucked under your arm. You've got a commemorative, shield or piece of glassware to put on your mantelpiece. You're the man of the match, and it's
not too bad, is it? I think Marcus has been robbed for the man of the match, to be fair. But I'll take it, whatever.
How do you think you compare to last year's man of the match?
I mean, well, one thing funny I should say about that, the guy presenting it did in fact think I won it last year, and then I said, oh no, it was actually our captain.
Oh, right,
and he went, although you should have won it. So
who's that?
That was our captain from last year, Hugo Farrell. Yeah,
so he won the man of the match.
He won the man of the match. Yeah, he put in a pretty inspirational performance, really captain's knock, and dragged us up when we needed it. So he was deserving.
I was going to say 5 wins in a row now. You would lead the series 17-16, so you're one ahead.
Yeah, that was a lot of talk in the build-up. Last few years we managed to equal it up, and this year, really get that. I think it's the first time we've been ahead for sort of 10-15 years now. So. Yeah, let's long may it continue.
And what about, people looking at the varsity game, rugby league, and say, is it really playing? Now, what is rugby league like at Oxford?
Oh, I mean, it's pretty intense, to be fair. I was shocked as well, being from Warrington and the north myself, when I came down at how many people were playing and how enthusiastic they were about it. And I think we really need to. It's great for the expansion of the game, really, if we can sort of capitalise on the varsity match. Everybody knows the varsity brand, they know the boat race, that sort of thing. So, yeah, keep building for the future as it's going. It's going the right way, and yeah, it's fantastic for the game.
This place is becoming synonymous with various games of rugby league in London. But what a great place to play!
It's absolutely fantastic. Right in the city of London. I mean, you can see the surroundings yourself. It's so picturesque. It's brilliant. Yeah.
And you're going to enjoy this evening?
There might be a few cheeky bears. Yeah, a few quiet ones on the go.
Oh, well done.
Cheers. Thank you very much.
So congratulations to Jake and Oxford University Rugby League, who win the varsity game, the latest varsity game, to take a 17-16 lead in the series, and a 5th consecutive win for Oxford. So they're much the better side in current history, but only 17-16 ahead in the longer list of historic fixtures. But also well down at the Rugby League Varsity game at the HAC, the Honourable Artillery Company down in the city, where Scholars play their Capital Challenge game over the last few years. I saw Neil Wood, who is working with the Broncos on a consultancy basis at the moment, after saying to the RFL that he thought he could help out. Neil, who spent time on a secondment with the Salford Red Devils last year. In fact, I think he was the man who came up with the Red Devolution slogan. So having spent time with Salford, now working a couple of days a week with the Broncos, so I thought I'd ask him about what he's up to, what his plans are, and here is my chat with Neil Wood.
Well, Neil, you've been with Broncos for, just over a month now? It must have been a busy month. An interesting time for you to come and pick things up.
Yeah, I've been here for, I think, just over 3 weeks now. I work probably 2 days a week in London, and the rest of the time I pick up from home in Rochdale. Firstly, project was to look after try and get the academy and the scholarship running, because there's no head of youth. We've advertised for one and one's on his way, but at the minute there's a gap and they were starting their season, so they needed somebody to assist in pulling all that together. So that was great, working with Danny Ward and James Lawson, fantastic. Kelly Burke, the physio, brilliant. But it was clear that there was some other gaps that I could possibly help out with, so I've tried to help Dave Lawrenson with the communications a little bit, so move on the Twitter and Facebook accounts, tried to get some of the marketing, so working through with the Hive on the CRM systems to try and get the newsletters out so we can communicate with fans and at least tell them simple things like when the tube's going to operate or not on game days. Loads and loads of things that we can't affect, and that's very frustrating because there's just some things that are in place that you can't do. So I'm trying to focus on the things that we can do immediately and make a difference with, so that people can come along and support the Broncos.
And was this an RFL decision to sort of say, we think there's things here we can help you with, and so we should spend a bit of our time on that? Because I know you obviously did things with Salford in a similar way to help them through their transitional period.
Yeah, I suppose I'm a bit of a utility player, really, in that I cover a load of bases. I've done some media, I've done some marketing, done some event management, but my background has been in development as well. So, I've worked a lot of years in the London area and know the policies around expansion. So I suppose I fit a number of bills. Now, I did work at Salford for 5 months on a secondment, and it's pretty much a similar role. However, I'm now not working at the RFL, but I'm working for the Broncos on behalf of the RFL, if you see what I mean. So it's a slightly different setup, but for certainly the short term, medium term, I anticipate being a part of the Broncos clan.
And how is it going? Because, from my point of view in particular, it's been nice to see messages on Twitter, updates on Facebook, and again, like you say, there's been difficulties in talking to the fans in some ways, but it's been great to see a communication line established, which was something that was missing before.
Yeah, and some of that's sort of what they'd say low-hanging fruit. It's things that you could do quite easily, but somebody has to do it. So it's a frustration that we can't do more, but it's sort of a success that we've managed to do some, and that's a good thing. And if you link that to what Dave Lawrenson is doing, so that we, through the website and the other news channels, we're getting there slowly but surely. But I think fans need to see some sustainability. What this club, in my opinion, needs to do is get some runs on the board with its fans. Say that it's going to do something and do it. Become an honest and reliable and have some integrity for the future, which I think is important for the fans. The fans want to see that, and I think they'll respond.
And where do we see potential success here? Because it's difficult looking at the business that's split down the middle. The Broncos dealing with the playing side of things, the Hive and Barnet dealing with sort of match day and things that happen on certain particular days in the calendar. Attendances, stuff like that, they sort of cross over boundaries, but would it be a success with more people? Is that the aim of you being here, or are you helping to put the business down one particular road, or help Barnet do something?
Long-term sustainability. I would just say having the Broncos sitting not at the centre, not at the head, but as an integral part of rugby league in London. Don't forget, London Junior League is very strong. We do okay. Southwest Chargers have just done well in the Challenge Cup. You've got HEMEL, and you've got the Scholars, and you've got Oxford on the periphery as well. So London Rugby League as a collective is a strong group, and the Broncos, I feel, need to be right at the centre of that and involved in everything, but not particularly at the head or the leading of everything. I think that they've got the place to play because they are the capital Super League club, and with that goes some responsibility, and hopefully the club are taking that responsibility on. My job, I see, is to help the club to spot those responsibilities and deal with them fittingly. And in the end, they're a Super League club, and they've got to win games in the Super League. So Tony and his team have got to concentrate on that. But the vision for the club, in my opinion, is to be a part of this massive rugby league family that is in London.
And part of that family, we're standing in the HAC now with a very moody lit room. The Rugby League Varsity games have just been going on outside. Again, something that's been synonymous with London and rugby league for a while now. But again, we sort of see extra attention in it, extra stories, extra interest, and that can only help build. And, any little links like that, I guess, with London and rugby league are good to take forward.
Yeah, it was great. It's great. I'm a great believer in it. I always have been. You know, I've been coming to these for more years than I care to remember, and obviously used to help organise them. It is an integral part of the sport, not just in London. It's an integral part of the sport. There are people today who will have their only interaction with rugby league this year is at the varsity match.
I heard a few of them outside, and it's my first experience of league here.
Yeah, and that's great. So if that's bringing people in, the trick is, and I don't think we've ever managed to really do it as a sport or as London Broncos as a single example. I don't think we've ever really managed to grab the attention of those people and turn them into regular fans. You know, some do, but I don't think we've not consistently done it, and that's nobody's fault. It's just such a vast job.
So Neil Wood then, who worked with the RFL and Salford and now with Broncos as a consultant, and I suppose it links in with what Neil's saying about the future and what to do, and the discussion that I mentioned before about what could we do to see Southern Rugby League being drawn together, an annual event, a couple of events a year, your suggestions, and be as outlandish as you like. You know, these are just suggestions. No idea in my world is a silly idea. You can be as expansionist or as forthright as you would like to be. If you've got an idea, you bang it on the Facebook page, facebook.com/Rugby League Down South, or you can email rldownsouth@gmail.com. Now, I should just read you a few of your suggestions I posed on Facebook. The latest discussion was how should Broncos and Barnet best go about increasing attendances at the Hive? Plenty of people got in touch. Aaron said do something. It seems that locally nothing is being done. Adam saying they should be actively advertising at military bases in London and the surrounding areas. Steve gave a few random unorganised thoughts. He said no freebies because it devalues tickets. Offer tickets to local communities though, cut prices, etc. Have specialised days. Outreach to local schools and target South East, not just North London. He says there's plenty more fans out and about around London. Paul said hit the local primary schools to show them what a wonderful game it is. Don't take badges, hand out things to the kids, invite them to come and watch. It just might work. I'm sure it may, Paul. John saying head to mainline stations with cheerleaders and mascots. Ian also saying get Buck and Dusty out on local high streets to do a bit of visual marketing. Jackie saying coaches from the clubs in with ticket offers. John says use Groupon. Saracens did it for Wembley and numbers increased for them. Jolien says Sunday games because he can't make the ones on a Saturday. And if you'd like to contribute to any more suggestions as to how best Broncos and Barnet should go about increasing attendances, which I say have increased. There was more people for the Warrington game than there was for the Salford game, but a many number of Warrington away fans were there as well, by all reports. So not an overly encouraging sign, but I think it's one of the things that absolutely needs to improve if the future and this deal, this Broncos and Barnet and the Hive deal, is to increase or move forward in the future. It certainly needs more people to be watching the games at the Hive. Otherwise, you never know. Mr. Kleanthos at Barnet may not think he's going to get exactly what he thought. I'm not saying he'll pull out for Ely. I'm sure he'll honour his deal, but he may not be interested in extending it in the future. But your thoughts on the Facebook page if you'd like to leave any comments. But this week, looking for your suggestions as to what would bring Southern Rugby League clubs and people and employees and fans together. Can you think of an event or some things that could happen? I'll take your suggestions on that and we'll read them in the podcast next week. But that's it for Rugby League Down South for this week. Thank you once again for listening, and we'll be back with another programme very soon.